The day where I attempt to make croissants has finally come. Now, in a lot of previous videos, I have sworn off making puff pastry. Now, if there's one thing you should know about me, it's that I refuse, and I mean I refuse, to make puff pastry from scratch. Now, once again, I will be using a prepackaged puff pastry just because I refuse to make my own. As per usual, I'm just using the store-bought one because I refuse to make my own. We work with what we have, and I don't want to be in the kitchen all day just to make puff pastry and have it fail. But I lied, because today it is time to test my skills and my patience and attempt to make puff pastry and croissants. So, what better way to find the perfect croissant recipe than to ask ChatGPT? So I asked ChatGPT to give me a 3-day croissant recipe that I can follow, and it came through. Now it is time to test this recipe and see if it actually works, or if I am better off browsing all the different baking websites and YouTube videos online and find a better recipe. But before I do that, let's just try ChatGPT's recipe and see how good these turn out. So let's just get this show on the road. So today is Monday and it's day 1 of our croissant journey. So today we need to make the dough and our butter block. So now for the dough we need 500 grams of bread flour. I don't have any, so we're using all-purpose flour. 55 grams of sugar. $10 grams of salt. I always add my salt to the edge of the bowl so it comes in contact with the yeast at the very end, so I'm just gonna do that as well. It doesn't say that in the recipe, but 10 grams of instant yeast. Traditional active dry yeast. A 140 grams of cold water. And 140 grams of cold milk. Don't worry, I have more milk. And lastly, 40 grams of softened butter. Now, the recipe says to mix flour, sugar, salt, and yeast, and then add milk, water, and softened butter and mix until a rough dough forms for 3 to 4 minutes. Let's do that. Normally, I would use a KitchenAid or a hand mixer with like a dough hook to actually properly knead it, but I don't have any of that right now, so I'm gonna use a spatula, and if I have to, I'll go in with my hands to kind of get like a dough shape so that we can actually shape it into a square. And normally I would also activate my yeast with a little bit of warm water or warm milk just to get that bubbly, but we're using cold milk and water, and it just says to mix everything together. So I'm gonna trust ChatGPT and we'll see. It hasn't led me wrong yet. I don't know how long it's been, but our dough looks pretty good, I would say. So at this point, we need to roll it out into a square. Now, I saw someone online cut a slit into their dough, and then it kind of opened up a little bit more like a square. That didn't really do that much. That's okay. Now, I literally just bought this rolling pin just because of this croissant dough, so we're gonna get some good use out of it over the next couple days. ChatGPT didn't say what size of square, so I think this is okay. Now, I also don't have any plastic wrap to wrap my dough into, so I'm just going to put it on a baking tray, and I'm putting over a wet kitchen towel just so that it doesn't dry out. I think that's it for our dough. We're gonna put this in the fridge until tomorrow morning, and hopefully it's okay. I just checked and it said rectangle, not square, so we're gonna roll this out a little more. Now that I've learned the difference between a rectangle and a square, we're gonna cover this again, and it's gonna go in the fridge until tomorrow morning. Now the last thing we got to do today is our butter block. So we need 280 grams of high-fat, unsalted, European style, if possible, butter. This is what I got. This is what we're going to use. I don't think this is the right butter. Okay, how much is 280 grams? Okay, this is 454. You're supposed to measure. I did 280 exactly, Julian. Oh, this recipe is like going to go so well because of this. This is like a good omen. No way. That like never happens. That's crazy. 280 on the dot, first try. Okay, prepare butter block. Place butter between parchment paper, which we actually have. Pound/roll into a 18 by 18 centimeter or 7 by 7 inch square. We know what a square is now. And chill overnight until firm but pliable. So I think what I'm going to do is cut my butter into slices to make it a little bit easier to roll it out right away, and kind of just make a square in the middle and then fold the parchment over it. Yeah. got our butter block. This is also going to go into the fridge, and we basically want our dough and our butter to have the same temperature, which they should have because they're going into the fridge for like 20 hours. So, into the fridge. That's all we're doing today. I'm gonna leave all of those things into the fridge until tomorrow morning, and then we're doing our laminations, which is going to take a lot of arm strength and a lot of patience and a lot of precise measurements. So I will see you tomorrow for lamination day. It's day 2 of making croissants, and today is lamination day. So let's grab our butter block and our chilled dough and get right to it. Okay, the first thing we need to do is enclose the butter. So we're going to roll out our dough to a 26 by 26 centimeter or 10 by 10 inch square. I totally could have left my dough as a square. I didn't need to shape it into a rectangle. That is frustrating. Then we're going to place the butter diagonally or into a diamond shape and fold dough corners over butter and seal. And then we're going to roll it out to 20 by 60 centimeters. Okay, I can do that. Okie dokie. Okay, I'm just gonna squeeze the sides more together so that it gets a little bit smaller. Let's see, is that 26? Hey, that's 27. That is pretty damn close. Okay, how about this side? Okay, this side needs to get rolled out a little bit. "26 by 26, yay!" Now we're basically gonna put it in like that and then close the edges, as far as I'm understanding. Just going to fold in, make sure that these close. This is starting to look legit. I'm very, very proud of this. Okay, so this is now 20 centimeters in width. So now we just need to roll it out to 60 centimeters. Okay, this is the scary part because I don't want the butter to like break. Okay, now so that I can fold it properly, I'm going to mark every 20 centimeters. Okay, so that's there. And then another 20 is there. And then boom. Okay, so now we just fold it like a letter. So bottom into the middle, top into the middle, and then it goes back in the fridge. Okay, I'm gonna cover this again, and it's going back into the fridge for 30-45 minutes, and then we're going to do the whole thing again. It's been 35 minutes and it's time to roll our dough out again. This time we're turning it and we're going to roll it out this way instead of this way. And we're doing the same length, 20 centimeters by 60 centimeters. Now it says to put it into the fridge for 45 to 60 minutes. So we'll do 45 and then we'll do our final letter fold. Are you ready for the last lamination? Are you, Julian? It's been 45 minutes, so it's time for our final lamination. We're gonna do the same thing that we just did. We're going to rotate it and then roll it out to 60 centimeters again and fold it one last time. It is so much harder to roll out now that it's been in the fridge for longer. We now have 27 layers of butter and dough. Now I don't even know how many layers a croissant is supposed to have. All I know is we have 27 layers. So we're gonna cover it one more time. Now it needs to go into the fridge for at least an hour before we shape our croissants. I'm just gonna leave them in there overnight and we're gonna shape them tomorrow morning and bake them. So that's it for day 2 of our croissant baking journey, and I will see you tomorrow for day 3 when we're gonna finally finish these croissants. It is day 3 of making croissants. Today is the day that we shape, proof, and bake our croissants, and hopefully they turn out amazing. So, first order of business, according to ChatGPT, is roll and cut. Roll dough to 4mm thickness, trim edges, cut triangles 9 centimeters wide by 22 centimeters long. Okay, let's start by doing that. I really wish I had one of those really fancy machines that the bakeries have where they just put it through and it like makes it really thin. They put it through again, it makes it really thin. But no, I have a mini rolling pin and muscles. Now, ChatGPT didn't specify how to cut this into triangles, but I've seen people cut it into rectangles first and then cut the rectangles diagonally, and that way you have 2 triangles. So I think I'm gonna do that. So I'll cut my big rectangle, sorry, I got my shapes mixed up again, in half, so I have 2 rows of rectangles. And right now, it is 72 centimeters long, so I'll be able to get 9 rectangles out of them, each being 8 centimeters long, well, wide. Now to shape, it says stretch each triangle gently, roll tightly from base to tip, curve slightly into a crescent, and then place on trays with space in between. Okay, so Let's just do a practice one. Gonna stretch it a little bit because that's what I saw people do. I also saw people cut a little slit at the bottom here. I think it helps get the shape a little better, but I don't know. So then we're just gonna start rolling while pulling a little bit, I think. And then it looks so small. I think these are gonna be really small croissants. Okay. Now I think I may have rolled the puff pastry out a little too thin because I managed to get out a lot of croissants, and I don't think that was the point. And they're also really, really small, and I don't think they're actually going to proof that much bigger. So I don't know. We'll just see what happens. They also kind of got shaped a little wonky, like this one. They have like a weird thing going on either side. I don't know. But now it just says to place entrees with space in between, proof at 24 to 26 degrees Celsius for 2 to 3 hours. Croissants should jiggle and look puffy, and butter layers must stay visible. It's not 26 or 27 degrees in our apartment, so I'm gonna leave these for 3 hours and then check on them, and hopefully all will be well. Do I cover them? Doesn't say. Okay, I'm just gonna cover them, and then that way they hopefully won't dry out. And I also have my puff pastry scraps, and I don't know what to do with that. So I'm just gonna put this in the fridge, and maybe I can do something with it. That being said, I will see you in 3 hours, and hopefully these croissants will be nice and jiggly and we can bake them. It has been 3 hours. Now for the last 30 minutes, I just had my oven preheated just for like a minute just to get a little bit of warm air flowing, and I put my croissants in there just to proof a little bit more, just because our apartment is not that warm, and it did say to proof them between like 24 and 26 degrees Celsius. So I think this will do the trick. I mean, these ones are a little jiggly. I feel like if I had made bigger croissants, they would be a lot more jiggly right now, but I feel like they're still proofed quite a bit, and I think they puffed up a little bit. These ones, not so much. I feel like these ones are gonna be really tiny. And I have no idea how these are gonna bake, because these are actually the tiniest croissants that I have ever seen. This one looks gorgeous though. This one I think is going to be the best one. These ones, they look questionable. Okay, now the last thing we need to do is egg wash these. It says to egg wash them with 1 egg and a pinch of salt and brush gently and avoid the cut edges. I feel like that's gonna be very, very, very difficult for these tiny croissants. And also, I think I'm just gonna use an egg yolk, and I'm gonna add a little splash of cream, because that's how I usually make my egg wash. Yeah, I've deviated quite a bit from this recipe already, but that's what we're gonna do. And in the meantime, we can preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius or 390 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so it says to bake them for 15 minutes and then reduce the temperature to 180 degrees Celsius or 355 degrees Fahrenheit for another 8 to 10 minutes until a deep golden color. Now, because mine are so tiny, I think I'm gonna bake them for 10 minutes and then reduce the heat. And then we'll see how much longer I end up baking them, maybe like another 5 minutes at the lower heat. But yeah, I think because these ones are so tiny, they're not going to need as long as the ones that are the actual normal size that we were going for. But that's okay. We're going to see how that goes. Okay, into the oven they go. Wish me luck. 1, 2. Okay. Timer for 10 minutes. They're definitely puffing up, which is a good sign, I think. They actually looked really cute. I just hope that the butter doesn't start leaking out because I didn't use the good European butter. I just used Superstore butter. It's officially been 10 minutes and they're starting to get a little bit golden, so I'm going to lower the temperature to 355 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we'll bake them maybe for 5 to 8 minutes, basically until they're completely golden brown. ChatGPT said 8 to 10 minutes, but we'll see. We'll see how long it takes with these little ones. But they're getting nice and golden brown at the top. At least the top tray is. The bottom tray, not so much. Maybe I should rotate it. Now, while the croissants are in the oven for the last few minutes, I'm just going to cut up my puff pastry scraps into little bite-sized pieces. And then we're gonna bake those off as well. And then I think I'm just going to sprinkle them with some powdered sugar and cinnamon and have like little puff pastry donuts, I guess. And that way we don't have any waste and I have a little snack. I saw other people like twist these up with like cheese, but I feel like these pieces aren't really thick enough to do that with. So we're just gonna cut them up and make little cinnamon powdered sugar bits and pieces. Now I think I actually might just toss these with a little bit of milk to help get them a little bit more golden brown. And maybe I'll just toss a little bit of cinnamon and sugar in there already as well. Kind of looks like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but unbaked. They don't look that bad. They puffed up a little bit. I'm gonna let these cool off a little bit and then it's time to try one and see how we did. And in the meantime, I'm gonna bake those off. And there you have it. All of our croissants are baked and they look pretty good, I think, especially for my first attempt at puff pastry. There's definitely room for improvement, like not rolling the dough out so thin and shaping the croissants a little bit bigger. But I think in general, they turned out pretty good. And the little fake Cinnamon Toast Crunch are also really good. It's gonna be my little snack for while I'm watching TV. And as you can tell, Julian and I already ate a few of these because we could not control ourselves. But for the sake of this video, I think it is time to get a taste test on camera as well, even though I already know how they taste. They taste great, but for the sake of the video, let's just pick this one. It's flaky in the inside. I mean, it tastes great. It does taste great. Now, I'm not fully convinced if it's worth all the time and effort to make your own puff pastry. Personally, I think if I really want a croissant, I think I'm just gonna go to a nice coffee shop or a bakery and get a really big, crunchy, crispy croissant instead of making croissants for 3 days. That being said, I don't know if I'm fully done with puff pastry and making croissants yet. I think I definitely need to try it one more time, maybe follow a recipe that's not from ChatGPT, get a few different tips and tricks from various websites, and make some nice big croissants. So that's gonna be it for today. I hope you enjoyed watching me make croissants for the last 3 days. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up or write me a comment down below, and I will see you next time with another video.